pekerjaan yang akan terdampak gitu. Jadi kayak what mentality do you have to have? Gue yang mesti dulu.
Okay, very tough question. Yeah, I was very enthralled by your topic. Actually, it's very interesting to know all these things. So yeah, very hard for me to focus on answering this question. Okay, but on a serious note, kayaknya kalau misalnya mentality CEO ya, and I'm not saying I'm like the perfect CEO or something, tapi ini mungkin yang my own experiences kali ya, from building Populix. The number one mentality is kind of like being okay with uncertainty, I would say. Itu paling penting sih, soalnya a lot of people rely on you for leadership kan. And sometimes you just have to make the call. That's why kayak, you know, if you go to business schools and things like that, it's always called an executive decision. Apa sih artinya executive decision? Gak ada artinya tuh decision yang bagus sebenarnya. It just means that it happens to be the leadership happen to make that decision kan. So the number one thing is to be like, you know, to be okay with uncertainty and benar-benar kayak, oh ya udah kita hadapin aja. And I would say no leader in any company, organization, government or something punya crystal ball yang tahu besok tuh persisnya bakal gimana. I think it would be impossible. And so that's why kayak ya udah kita hadapin aja kan. Tapi that's why you're at the number one position, you're the captain of the ship. Adalah you're probably the best person, and you have to believe you're the best person who can make these tough calls kalau ada pilihan-pilihan tertentu. And on the flip side, I think ini mungkin hal yang akan sangat sulit digantikan oleh AI, karena AI itu kan cuma lihat datanya aja, and mostly data in the past yang dia udah di-train. Dia nggak bisa mikir ke depannya gimana segala macam. So there's a lot of, so I'm saying this is not like a hard science di mana decisionnya it's very clear, tapi a lot of subjectivity, a lot mikirin orang kita kan seperti apa gitu. Kan kita juga nggak mau ngambil keputusan yang merugikan employees kita sendiri, which we treat as a family. So in short, I think number one-nya yaitu sih being okay with uncertainty. And if I can add juga mungkin having the humility to learn from mistakes. Itu I would say is very very important, because you'll never make perfect decisions. And you know, unless the CEO is replaced every month, it's going to be the same guy or girl who makes the decisions kan. Jadi kayak having that, you know, you have to always introspeksi diri sendiri sih. If you have this decision, salahnya di mana, bagusnya di mana, yang bagusnya dikit, yang jeleknya kita coba fix. And interestingly, actually, I did this for my PhD topic. So my PhD topic was actually the correlation between leadership and performance in organizations. And it happens to be that salah satu variabel yang paling menghubungkan ya, so I'm saying ini nggak semuanya, tapi in my particular study that I did, open-mindedness-nya si leader itu ngaruh banget ke bottom line profitability-nya perusahaan actually. So open-mindedness itu penting sih. Kan open-mindedness tadi ngaruh semua ya. Being okay with uncertainty, having that humility juga. And yeah, mungkin final note from me, in this age of uncertainty, I guess the other itu dua dulu deh, takutnya I'm taking too much material for
Kalau
that.
kepikiran satu lagi lagi
Iya,
dia jadi tiga gitu. Oke, thank you. Karena memang ini ya, katanya satu-satunya yang tidak pernah berubah di dunia ini adalah perubahan itu sendiri. So we have to be okay with that. It happens. There's nothing we can do about it. Oke, boleh ke Kak Tanya. Kalau menurut Kak Tanya gimana?
Kalau sebenarnya pengalaman aku sendiri juga ya. Jadi mungkin ini nggak ada pakemnya lah begitu ya. Pertama itu we have to be brave enough sih to set the direction and believing that the direction is right gitu ya. Set the north star gitu. By doing that kita jadi bisa ngajakin tim gitu. Malah tadi kata Mas Kim kan, kita ada di kapal, kita ada di captain of the ship, jadi ya kita harus yakin bahwa directionnya ini yang benar gitu kan. Dan second, which is having the humility to understand and learn, oh salah nih gitu, directionnya salah ternyata guys gitu kan. Now we're taking another direction gitu. Nah itu juga we need brave juga ya, keberanian juga to say that and to admit, enough humility to admit that we are wrong. Jadi kalau di Yuru sendiri, one of the core values adalah continuous improvement gitu. Continuous improvement meaning kita recognize failure dan kita mau menjadi lebih baik dari belajar dari kesalahan yang terjadi gitu. Dan karena kita mirip startup, walaupun kita di bawah grup besar, tapi kita benar-benar seperti startup. Jadi many times kita gagal, many times kita masuk ke klien salah proposal misalnya gitu ya. Oh ternyata dia nggak suka gitu. Atau kita benar-benar datang ke sekolah kita salah ngomong gitu. Oh ternyata kita ngomong sama orang yang salah. Very small things. But then we have to learn gitu kan every day. Jadi kalau dari aku sih yang aku benar-benar tiap hari pegang ya harus berani terus dan harus yakin sama diri sendiri gitu. Kalau kita nggak yakin ya of course it's always good to have mentors, advisors dan teman-teman yang kita emang bisa ajak ngobrol gitu, terutama mentors ya. Di karir aku tuh banyak orang yang hebat-hebat sekali dan background tuh bermacam-macam, gak harus bos kita di kantor, tapi kadang-kadang tuh orang yang kita temuin dari acara-acara networking seperti ini gitu, dan itu mereka bisa jadi mentor yang baik untuk kita. Dan aku banyak belajar dari mereka. Having people doing very different things from us also helps, karena kadang-kadang logic itu bisa di-apply dimanapun gitu ya. Jadi I learn a lot from people around me gitu juga. Dan juga tadi having enough humility, it's one of the hardest thing to do. Kadang-kadang maybe you went to very cool schools like Oxford, Cambridge, NUS, and then you think that you're on top of the world because you graduated from these top schools, right? But then pulang ke Indonesia, then you face that reality is not as ideal as what you thought it would be. Jadi having that humility itu membuka wawasan malahan atau membuka banyak pilihan. Balik lagi tadi ya, kadang-kadang si calon yang pencari kerjanya nih yang punya preferensi gitu, dan maybe setting the right preferences it will be beneficial lah for us.
Oke, makasih. Jadi dia brave itu berani. Dua hal ya, kayaknya yang paling banyak pengalaman sudah melalui bertahun-tahun perubahan dan segala macam. Gimana nih kira-kira tips-tipsnya?
Actually, I think most of my experience itu datang dari 5 tahun terakhir sih. Sebelumnya, because of the position juga secara impact nggak bisa terlalu luas juga gitu. So maybe I'll give you some snapshots of what I did before gitu. Misalnya tahun 2017 I was appointed programming director of Asian Effect. Sebelumnya it was somebody who is a veteran in industry, and her style is meeting whole day, very detail oriented. I have zero detail orientation, right? So there's no meeting with me gitu. Wah, itu semua tim langsung apa nih, nggak kerja nih orang gitu. And I realized I was wrong. There's some things yang too demokratik juga nggak bisa ternyata. And I would say we got lucky, and we were able to get good performance, even though I was like that. It was my fault at that time. And eventually, the second time yang saya punya impact lebih signifikan lagi ke perusahaan ini adalah when I was told to take over Cinemark. Gitu. Jadi CEO-nya pensiun mendadak, dan I took over it. And apparently, production house di Indonesia itu, I would say a lot of them are not very cost controlnya itu nggak bagus, bocornya banyak gitu. Nah, kebetulan nih I'm a finance person, jadi they're unlucky to meet me gitu. Dan looking at it, we were able to fix it. Nah itu butuh bravery juga, dan butuh some trickery juga gitu, untuk menjebak orang untuk kan ketahuan gitu. Nah because of that we were able to sort things out. Jadi misalnya contohnya kalau pernah dengar sinetron tuh syutingnya stripping, ya kan nggak ada breaknya, syutingnya 7 hari seminggu, dan Lebaran nggak bisa libur, Natal nggak bisa libur. Sekarang Lebaran kemarin itu judul kita 14 hari liburnya, syuting 5 hari, jam 9 pulang. Kok bisa? Ternyata mereka pengen syuting 7 hari karena ada beberapa orang yang pengen sewanya terus-terusan. dari sewa itu dapat 50%. Jadi makanya dibikin lama aja gitu. Kok bisa ambil syuting sampai tengah malam? Karena ada MTM, makan tengah malam, yang biasa nggak banyak yang makan, tapi kita bisa kantongin gitu. Nah kayak gitu-gitunya tuh, yang sekali itu langsung dihilangin, langsung efisien. It's a very strange situation yang effects yang we did not expect. Dan saya rasa this is not only restricted to production house. There's many parts of our industry yang kalau cost controlnya is not very good, it's bound to be inefficient. That's one. That's one example. And because of that, kita free up a lot of capital to do experiments. So eventually we tried to do web series, and then the show did really well on View misalnya. Kita buat micro drama yang vertikal, itu the show did really well on video. Previously we had zero money, we couldn't do anything. Sekarang kita bisa punya studio sendiri, punya catering yang lebih sehat di lapangan. We can give good health care and BPJS to all the crew. We can give them bonuses. Employees can get a raise and have bonuses. So the overall situation becomes better untuk orang-orang yang bertahan tadi. The second example adalah waktu saya disuruh pegang Moji. Moji itu dulunya O-Shop, O-Channel, yang dulunya TV shopping, but TV shopping got shut down by Shopee and TikTok. So no one wants to buy TV shopping anymore. So it transformed to nggak jelas apa waktu itu. Kebetulan kita tayangin volley. Then when I first took over, I saw that apparently volley is very popular. Ibu-ibu itu main volley, man. Di setiap kecamatan itu ada lapangan yang bisa jadi buat lapangan badminton, yang ternyata bisa buat lapangan volley juga. Tapi kebanyakan main volley karena shuttlecock itu mahal. Jadi apparently there's 80 amateur volleyball club di Madura. I didn't know that. I've been working for 12 years in media industry. I didn't know that. I always thought di Indonesia itu cuma ada bola sama badminton. Enggak, ternyata volleyball is the second most popular sport. So I said, do nothing else. Jangan tayangin program India, nggak usah bikin infotainment, nggak usah bikin apa-apa lagi, just volleyball. So now we air 500 matches of volleyball. And Moji, after years of no profitability, suddenly become profitable in month one. Gitu. So that's probably kalau kita lihat a signal and we believe in it, we just focus all in on it and it works, jadi deh gitu kan sebetulnya. Ya, dan karena kalau enggak, if you don't give the direction, everybody's doing 10 things and they got no time to focus on that one thing. So that worked. That was one example. The third one is less happy but needs to be done. Kadang kita itu suka, or I find that a lot of people are doing what they're told to do and they don't question it. Yang biasa dikerjain tiap hari, kenapa barang ini harus diskonnya 70%, kenapa nggak 80%? Kenapa nggak kasih gratis aja? Like misalnya iklan nih, iklan kalau nggak kejual, besoknya udah nggak ada nilainya loh, kan udah habis 24 jam. Kalau saya kasih ke orang, hubungannya jadi lebih baik gimana? Jadi jadi utang budi sama saya gimana? Dia jadi thank you ya gitu. Mending gitu atau udah biarin hangus aja. That's one mindset misalnya. Atau let's say this room actually, someone was asking me if this place is available for public usage. It's not, because our mainframe, our